I touch on this now, I'll get into it a little bit more, but grow, and none of us as an ecosystem could do what we do and get you all the resources, just one organization. So we rely heavily on all of those great organizations out there across West Michigan and beyond that can step in and help folks with their business plans, with their financials, with connections and funding. And we work very closely with each of these organizations. We kind of call it there's no wrong front door. If you start with Start Garden, they will take you as far as they can go and they will get you to us and vice versa. So we, again, rely very heavily on our ecosystem partners, strength in numbers, as they say. I think Maria was going to help me, but how many of you are already in business? You've been in business for 3 to 5 years, you're going strong. You might be looking at how we can connect and take to that next step. And how many, I guess, are just starting? Is there a way to find that out? I don't want to.
Yeah, let's throw it in the chat. So if you're just starting, just go ahead and put start in the chat. And if you're existing, just put exist in the chat. And yeah, we've got a lot of people. So I think we've got less than 1 year. We've got 3 years. We've got a couple just starting. And I think it's like half and half, existing and starting. So this is a good, great mix.
Perfect.
Great mix of people here.
And we'll have time for questions throughout. So I just wanted to kind of get a gauge on that. And even what they call serial entrepreneurs, it's almost like if you've got something going, you almost have the next idea brewing and percolating already. So sometimes you're constantly starting up new things or changing your existing business to better reach your customers or to bring on those new products. I think we live that daily with Patty, bringing on new products and things. So I know you guys are doing that as well. What we typically like to do with a client, we don't do it for you. We work with small business clients that have great ideas that just don't quite know where to start. So we will walk through that checklist for starting a business. We will talk about your business plan and your business model. Are you going to be online? Are you going to have brick and mortar? Will you be delivering products? Do you have people come into your store? Have you thought about what those numbers look like? Can you actually make money doing what you love to do? What do those projections look like? The marketing plan, which Elise will certainly get into more. How will you reach those customers? How will they know about you? Is it traditional advertising? It is social media? Are they special events? Again, physical space, online, and then we walk through the whole. Have you thought about your taxes, your insurance? How do you register that business name? So we get very basic if you need it. And then sometimes we just need to introduce you to an expert who's already been doing what you want to do forever and kind of make those connections. Grow has an army of amazing professionals that are generous enough to volunteer their time for Grow. And they're attorneys, accountants, bankers, professional marketing folks. We will connect our clients to those folks at no charge, and they can kind of brainstorm, think out loud with those people to just get those questions answered, develop those financials, talk about marketing. When you start getting deeper, then it's a paid for type thing, and you're going to want to go out and get that contracted. But Grow does have a lot of great volunteers that can work on the specifics with you. So the checklist for starting a business, literally, sometimes people just need to know, how do I register my business name? How do I know if anyone else has used that? So we can sit down with you. We can give you the correct links. You can register your own business name, do a search for $50, pay online, and it's pretty much instantaneous. You don't have to hire those legal firms that are in some other state or other city to do that. So we can walk you through that simple process. How do you find out if anyone has used your name before? As you do your business name, have you thought about what your domain name would be, and is it available? And what about your Facebook page, Instagram, things like that? So it's a lot of things happening at once, and we just take probably 2 to 3 items, work with you, and then we kind of give you homework. We give you action steps, and then let's get together again in a week or so and see how you're doing and what kind of questions do you have. We're with you for as long as you need us. We get you to those experts, and really just try to guide you through the process as you realize your dream and the opportunity to actually start or grow that business. So we'll walk you through the nitty gritty and even those boring things, but necessary, of insurance coverage for you, your people, your building, the taxes. Have you thought about that? So that's kind of starting your business. The business plan seems like that thing that nobody wants to do, and it's not a 40-page novel anymore. It can be a one-page version. It can be a couple pages that really talks about the who, what, where, when, and why of what your business concept is. What you may or may not realize, it's kind of your roadmap or your building blocks for your business. But if you are going for lending, I need to know as a lender what it is you're trying to do, and then I've got to convince a lending committee, a loan committee, that this is a solid deal, great idea. You've thought through it. You have the expertise and the credentials. So pandemic ready, disruption ready becomes a new thing now. How many businesses had to kind of reinvent themselves over the last year? We discovered curbside and delivery, online ordering. We have on the street dining now. We have all kinds of new things that happen so that we could continue to reach our customers. And in many cases, people realized this was something I probably should have done before. It took this pandemic for us to realize, and in other cases, there were huge obstacles and it didn't work at all. But we're growing and learning through all of this. No different than if you had a hurricane or a tornado come through, or you had a fire. You need a good disruption plan in case things change again. Your business plan really should be, you should have a firm handle on your products and services. What are we offering? I kind of coach a lot of people about doing a handful of things really well and not trying to be all things to all people. We have great marketing resources that can help you kind of research your demographics, and through our Small Business Development Center partners, you can get free marketing research data, and we connect you to those folks for that. You know, whether it's by zip code or by 50-mile radius or females in the zip codes of whatever, we can help you with that. Financial projections are key. How much do I need to earn each month to pay for that rent and those people and all of that? And what's my break-even point? So we have templates and models and great things to help you with that. Again, a marketing plan and your management summary and your plan should really be bragging about you. You know, I've gone to that Calabo Institute. I've done all these things. I've had 18 years in the business. That's when you really kind of sell yourself and your experience. And I'm going to pause right there to see if anyone has any questions, Maria.
We do. Yeah, good timing. We're on the same page here. Yeah, we do have a couple questions. So when you talk about, or can you talk more about putting together a business plan? I know in my personal experience, sometimes they can be quite overwhelming, especially when you're staring at a blank Word document. And you're kind of like, dude, this is my plan, I think, right? So are there good templates, or is there a good way to start brainstorming about what you should put down on paper? If you could just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, again, our organization and the SBDC, the Small Business Development Centers, and we're both no charge for our services, low and no cost webinars and programs. There are, we have an overview, a template that we give to our clients that kind of walks you through almost a list of questions. And it makes it, we even have fill in the blank formats for people that we all think and act differently, right? We all respond to different types of challenges and opportunities differently. So we have 3 or 4 models that we use. There's a website called bplan.com, I believe, that have samples of business plans. If you're going to do a retail bakery, or you're going to do sell shoes, or you're going to do a service business, that's a great place to find some sample business plans. And the catch there is if you try to do it online with them, they're going to try to charge you, but you can view a lot of plans and get a feel for well, that I like that piece because that applies to me. And then just take the nuggets of information that work for you. A lot of great templates out there, and we can guide you through that process. I always encourage people, sometimes your mind is thinking, I can figure out numbers right now, but today, tomorrow, I'm going to work on the marketing piece, and you kind of work where your passion and your inspiration is for that day, and keep it going. The hardest step is just starting, and just start putting all of that stuff in one place. The really important thing that we've found is if there is someone in business that is doing something that you would absolutely love to do that's outside of your competitive market, go find and if you don't know, go research somebody doing exactly what you would love to do. And if they're not in your competitive circle, they are usually very willing to answer your questions, to coach you, to give you their secret sauce and everything. If you're no threat to them, you can go find those people and we can help you with that. Go find those people and pick their brain. They're usually very generous with their time.
Yeah, that's actually a really fantastic tip, especially now that we're also used to virtual. It might even feel easier to connect. I know I keep making the virtual joke, but it is true. You can reach out to another business in a different state. You're both not going to get the same walking traffic, and they can help you. That's a really great tip. Another question we had was about insurance coverage for businesses. So what, can you speak on that, or what people should be looking for?
Yeah, we always like you typically personally have home insurance and you have health and you have those things for your house. Start there and then get 2 or 3 more quotes. Those folks can usually add a business rider. You want to look at liability insurance for if somebody trips and falls at your establishment, or if you're selling something and people just say, well, that was misleading, I don't like it, and they want to sue. There's liability insurance, but there's also content insurance. So if you should have a flood or a fire, you want to look at both of those types of insurance. And your agent who you work with personally should be a great place to start. And most chambers of commerce and each of our organizations can usually point you in the direction of a few other people. And they're typically riders onto general policies, so they're not crazy unless you like have some really serious trucking, construction, things like that. So it really depends on your industry as well. And I want to be conscious of time so that we save time for Elise and Patty here. This is the fun. I just wanted to show you. Some people are saying fun, right? Have another glass of wine, Karen. But what we try to do is take the pain out of it. This is a simple template with all the formulas built into it. So if you start to add numbers up here, it does the math for you. You put your rent in, you put your known expenses here, then you can play around this numbers, and every time you change it, the formula changes and the numbers change. So we have templates that are this simple, and there's no pain, no problem with just playing with those numbers. So we can work with you, and so can the small business development centers, to get a feel for your first year and your second year of cash flow projections. You don't want to be giving stuff away. You don't want to make sure you're charging enough to cover your expenses. And that's a great template that we've found that's in Excel, and most people have some good knowledge of Excel. We like to touch on, if you're starting a business, we go through an assessment of what is that idea? What's different about it? What's going to set you apart? Is there just no one in your area that's doing it? Let's talk about that idea a little bit more. How is your energy level? What is life doing with, what's happening in your life right now? Are you working full time? You have small children, you're getting your degree, and you volunteer in the community. Is this a great time to do that? Is a pandemic a great time to do, start a business? Probably not if you were food or a gym, right? But we always say there's a good time to do all of your research, all of your legwork, do all of that data collection, ask people about your idea, share your idea, and see what people are thinking. Do you have the skills needed? You'll learn more about what Patty did to get the skills necessary to be a chocolatier when she had spent her whole career being a psychologist, right? You can't just pivot and say, I'm going to just make it. You have to make sure whatever you're doing, that you have the skills necessary, whether it's online learning, YouTube, a degree, whatever. How is your time management? How is your money management? Your support system? Who's your tribe of people around you right now? Whether it's family, friends, your church, your community, who's around you to catch you when you fall and cheer you on as you go? And do you have that around you? And what are your personal characteristics? So we really work heavily on that. Are you sure you want to do this thing? And then as you're already in business, there were a couple people that said 1 to 3 years or just under a year. If you're kind of maxing out your capacity where you are, but you're hearing across town people would love to have what you do, you might want to consider that second location. You might want to consider a franchise. You might want to just look at how you can get to other people. And we have some experts that have done that really well and organically, where they've started lots of different locations for what they do in childcare and different things like that. And then we can again try to put you in touch with that. So I think we just equip our clients to go in with their eyes open and to be ready for whatever comes at them. We don't have all the answers, but we have a great system and again, an army of people out there wanting to help you and see that you succeed. So any other burning questions before we get on to Elise? But I think we're there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well,
Take it away, Elise.
I'll let her introduce herself, but we've had the privilege of having Elise come on to our team in the last year, and it has made our world so much more fun. She is an amazing gal and really helps tell the story of our clients and how we're reaching others to impact our community. So Elise, I'll have you take it away, and I think I will stop sharing, or no, I have your slides. So.
Thank you so much, Karen. That's such a sweet introduction. And as Karen said, I joined Grow in August as the marketing and communications manager. And I'm the first person to have this role at Grow. Prior to that, I worked in media. I was a freelance writer and a magazine editor for about 8 years. And prior to that, I think I've got a kind of an interesting background. I'm a high school dropout, always wanted to be a writer, and I've just really kind of unintentionally forged my own path, and I'm just thrilled to be at Grow. It's an organization that's been in my peripheral for a long time, and it's really fun to be a part of the team. And I'm excited to talk to you guys today about marketing. Might seem like a lot of information, but I think it's relevant to those of you who are just at the beginning of your business, and even those of you who are like 3 years along. This whole process can be done at any point in your business. It's always good to just kind of check the pulse of your marketing, and you can go to these stages at any point and tweak things. You know, marketing is like a living, organic thing that you always have to pay a little bit of attention to and kind of nurture. So we'll start off with, what is marketing? Now, this is my approach to marketing that I have found to be quite successful. The way I view marketing is that marketing is the story you are telling with your business. And one of the reasons I focus on storytelling, and a lot of marketers do, is that humans, we respond to stories. We naturally do. We love movies, we love books, we love music, we love conversation, we love talking, we love stories. It's part of our DNA. So I would really encourage everyone to keep storytelling at the front of mind when you are working on your marketing. And if you're not telling your story, somebody else is. Like, whether you are actively marketing or not, you're still marketing yourself. The story that you're telling with your marketing, you're telling the story about you and your business to the customer. But the more important story that you're telling is you're telling a story about your customer to your customer, about how their life is made better by your product or service. Your customer is your protagonist, is the star of your story. So that is the approach that I take. And Karen, if you can go to the next slide, we'll get on to number 2. So where to start with your marketing? And I'm sure at some point in the process of planning your business, you have some of this information already, but it's really important to know who your customer is. You have to know who they are. You have to know their story, where they are in their journey, and how you can come into that journey and engage with them. The information that's really important to have is, how old are they? What is their gender? Where do they live? Are they single? Are they married? Are they homeowners? You can really get down into the nitty gritty. And that is just super, super helpful. One of the really important pieces of information that I think sometimes people forget is considering where their customer gets their trusted information from. Um, for example, for a lot of people in like my grandparents' generation, they get it from the news, the local news. People in my generation, it's probably Facebook or social media. There can be there can be huge differences in where people go to get their trusted information. So it's really important to kind of have your finger on the pulse of that. Um, if you haven't done marketing research before, it can be kind of intimidating. The best thing to do is to literally just ask people, create a survey yourself. But if you're not quite sure where to start, there's lots of great resources online. The Pew Research Center, even the US Census is just a really great place to start. Google Trends is fantastic, and it's most of these resources are free or low cost. The SBA Office of Entrepreneurship Education also has a ton of marketing research tools that are free and available to everybody. So the next thing that you want to consider as you're considering your marketing is your unique value proposition, which Karen touched on this a little bit, is like, what makes you different? Why would someone choose your business over somebody else's? What is it? Your process? Is it your experience? Are you selling something nobody else has? And this is something that I'm not sure if anybody has read the book. It's called The E-Myth. This concept is from the E-Myth, and I love it. And I think it's so helpful. And like, whenever I'm working on marketing pieces, I think about this. The concept is think about your product versus what you're selling as two separate things. So let's say that you are a clothing retailer and you carry eco-friendly clothes. Your product is the clothes, but you're selling activism. You're selling a sense of sustainability to somebody. If you're a wedding photographer, your product is the photography, like the photos themselves, but what you're really selling is those cherished memories. So that is a good concept to bring into this process, and it can really help you hold on to the core of what your business is. That can really help you figure out, why would somebody come to me over somebody else? And then with those two pieces, you can develop your brand identity. And I should say, as we're going through all of this, all of the things we're going to review today, this is all stuff you can do on your own. This is not necessarily things that you need to hire out. And these are all things to keep in mind to just to make the process a little easier and streamlined. And so you get kind of a more polished professional result. So your brand identity includes your logo, it's your color palette, it's your mission statement, it's your copywriting. So it's the text that people will see when they interact with your product on your website or your packaging. And it's the goods and services that you're selling. So to me, this is where the storytelling really starts. Your brand is kind of the mechanism for the emotional connection to your customers. And your brand identity, for you, it can serve as a guide as you evolve and you move forward. And it can be like a measuring stick as you grow. So again, we'll just stick with the example of the eco-friendly clothing store. So if you own an eco-friendly clothing store and your mission is to provide stylish clothing with a low carbon footprint, you're not going to be purchasing from a brand that has a low sustainability rating. And your customers know that too. So your brand identity is really important. And again, it can evolve. It should be something that you check in on every few months to make sure that it continues to align with how you're doing business. Okay. Now, this is in the world that we're in today, marketing has so many more channels than it used to have. I think when we think of marketing traditionally, we think about billboards, advertisements, paid media spots. Those still exist. Those are still just, to a degree, a gold standard of marketing, because those results are those can really drive results. That's called outbound marketing. That's when you're pushing your message out into the world. You're typically paying for it, and you're just kind of throwing a huge net out there. And again, the results are great. But now what is becoming more and more standard is inbound marketing. It's also known as content marketing. And that engages people who are actively looking for your product. And that is a lot of the marketing that I think that we interact with on a day-to-day basis. You know, it's your website, it's your social media, it's your newsletter, it's your blog, it's PR, it's earned media. And it to me, it's like you're kind of creating a culture around your brand. And I come from, you know, I come from magazine production. So when I'm working on the grow marketing, I think of it as a magazine. I think of it as like, what else do people want? How can I create an article that goes with this event that we're hosting? How can all these content pieces support each other to drive people to take the action that we want them to, which is typically to reach out to us to fill out a loan application or to attend a webinar. So as we move forward tonight, I'm going to be telling you guys about inbound marketing. And again, this is all stuff that you can do yourself. So these are two things that I see people tend to forget a lot as they're kind of at this stage in their planning. Creating a marketing calendar is so important. It will help you, keep track of holidays, keep track of what's going on in your community, that's really important in your industry, which it's kind of a no-brainer. It helps you align your marketing with relevant things, and it allows you to be the words failing me right now, but to take action as opposed to be reactionary in your marketing. And then the other mistake that people make, and this is like such an easy mistake to make, you don't have to be on every channel. You do not have to be on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and Instagram. Again, back to that imaginary sustainable clothing store, that probably will work so well on Instagram, very visual. Twitter, not so much. So don't be on Twitter. Find out what works for you, and really plant your feet and put your energy there. So that's something that I find with people a lot. We can feel like we have to be on all the platforms, but it's not necessarily the best thing to do with your time and your energy. So tools and strategies. So it's so important now more than ever to have a strong web presence. Like, people expect to be able to get a full experience of your business and your brand at the swipe of their fingers. So that means you should have a well-designed website and a reliable e-commerce platform. There's so many options now. I mean, if you have the patience, you can set up e-commerce yourself. Squarespace is amazing. Shopify is amazing. Wix, Weebly, Wellness Living is an e-commerce platform for like a lot of fitness studios use that. So it's something that you can do yourself. And if you are doing it yourself, you want to optimize it for conversion. Or, in other words, just make it so easy for people to buy what you're selling. I think of it as when I'm working on the Grow website, I think of someone coming to the website like they're walking into a room, and I'm holding their hand and I'm taking them exactly where they want to go. And I'm making sure that there's no chairs in their way. They're not going to trip on the carpet, that they're not going to get distracted by something. They're going to go right there and they're going to do exactly what I want them to do. So, there's so many articles and YouTube videos about conversion, but for me, it really helps to think of it in those simple of terms. Social media, like I said, you don't have to be on everything. Find out what works for you and just really put your energy into it. Social media is a long game of give and take. I think we tend to expect to make a huge splash right away and get the results we're dreaming of, but it takes a really long time. It takes probably the results that we all dream of probably take years to get. You should post every day. You should post at least once a day, but shoot for twice a day. But one of the things that I see people do a lot is you can't just post. So imagine it like standing on a street corner and shouting. Nobody wants to talk to that person. People actually walk away from that person. It's a conversation. So you need to be a part of the conversation. Comment and like on other people's posts. Share content from your community and your industry. A ratio that tends to work really well is 2-to-1. So that's a 2-to-1 ratio of sharing other people's posts and then sharing your own. And that really builds trust, and that just makes you look less markety, which tends to kind of repel people. And it just helps you gain valuable connections on those platforms so much faster. And oh, this is my favorite. So we're at newsletters. Newsletters are amazing, and they're so important because even more so than social media, you own your newsletter audience. They can't change, on Facebook, they can change an algorithm that can really impact who's seeing your posts, but they can't do that on a newsletter. People are opting in to see your content. They're saying, yes, I want this email every day or every week or every month. And you can really, so the platforms that you use, the common ones are MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, and Constant Contact. And I believe at Grow, we have a 9,000 person email list, and it's like, I believe we pay $86 a month for our MailChimp. So really reasonable. ActiveCampaign, and they charge them by audience size. So as you gain more followers, or more subscribers, it'll the price goes up, but it's really easy, really low cost entry point if you're starting from scratch. But you can really track who is engaging with your brand and when. You can do A/B testing, which is hugely valuable. So as soon as you start, I would really advise everyone to build a list, and you can entice people into signing up by offering a deal or an exclusive product or exclusive content. It can just be such a powerful guide on your customer journey. You can leverage it with your e-commerce. If someone has an item in their cart, you can connect the two, so they get an email saying like, hey, get something in your cart. You want to click buy? Because we want you to click buy. Or you can track people based on the products that they buy. Let's say you sell candles and they really like this lavender scented candle. You can make sure they're seeing that candle all the time in their email. You can ask them to leave a review 5 days after they receive the product. It's such a powerful tool, and it's really grown in the past few years. People are really, really psychologically enjoying that they're seeing content that they're opting into, as opposed to, every day in our digital lives, we're just inundated with stuff. So newsletters are really powerful. Blogs are really powerful as well. They, as I said before, when I'm working on the Grow marketing, I think of it as a magazine. I want to create articles relevant to what we offer. So, excuse me. So, sustainable clothing store might want to create a post that is 5 ways to style a dress, or how sustainable fashion is saving the planet, how to spot a highly ethical brand. It does 2 things. It positions you as an authority. You can really be clever with your calls to action, and drive people to purchasing and engaging with you further. But you're giving a place where people already are interested in what you're selling to just engage and explore that more, and very likely buy your product. Okay, so these are coming to the end here. These are all things to keep in mind as you're working on your marketing. Consistency will set you apart. Like I said before, we all expect, I think, to make a big splash right away. Everybody wants to go viral. But consistency is the thing that will make you special and set you apart, because most people drop off at some point because they're not getting the results that they want. And I think that applies for just business in general, is that being consistent is what will really take you to where you want to go. Have measurable goals so that you know what's working and what's not. If you create a pop-up on your website for your newsletter and you say, I want to get 100 subscribers this month, If you get 20, you know that, okay, something went wrong. I got to figure out what went wrong. If you get 200, you're like, yes, I did it. We're going to keep that up. So it's really important to know what you're looking for and what results that you want. Photography and design are really important. Good photography can go such a long way. It can speak volumes. It can make you look so credible and professional. So that's something, and we all have great phones now. A lot of times, like just your iPhone will do wonders. But if anybody, if you at some point do have it in your budget, hire out a professional photographer. Design is really important. There's a wonderful free tool called Canva. I use it all the time with Grow. But again, once you get to the point where you can hire it out, get someone to design, to polish up your design for you. And as I said at the beginning, really focus on your customer, use you focused language. Remember, they are the hero in your story. They are the star of your brand story. So this is the example from the sustainable clothing store. Instead of saying adorable clothes, or excuse me, say, adorable clothes are just for you, as opposed to we sell adorable clothes. One of those sentences is about the customer. The other is about you. And the one about the customer is going to get them to pay attention to you and to buy and to engage. Clear always beats clever. We can really be tempted to be clever and try to come up with something cute and funny. But if it's not clear, then there are times when clever and clear intersect and it's like the stars aligning and magic happening. But at the end of the day, always make sure that people know exactly what you're talking about and exactly what you want them to do. And try new things. Marketing is really fun. Just if you have a thought and you want to give it a try, just do it. The worst that can happen is that it doesn't work and then you don't do it again. Especially nowadays in the digital world, there's so much that people can do and have fun with. And as soon as your finances allow, hire it out, because unless you love doing it and you're having so much fun with it, it can be time consuming. It can be a lot of energy. And it's something that is, you can even hire it out part-time for someone just to give you some advice or to take care of some of your content production, because it's a huge task nowadays, especially.
All right, thank you, Elise. I'm going to jump in, and Maria, do we have questions?
We do, yeah, just a couple. I was like, quick, I don't mean to interrupt.
Right.
We did have a couple questions, and thank you. That was like just extremely, extremely valuable. I wanted to just, I'm glad this is recorded because I kept wanting to take screenshots of all the slides.
Good.
But just a couple questions. Very early on, you touched about some market research options, and I heard you throw up Pew and Census. Could you just circle back to that?
Yes.
And maybe we can throw some links in the chat for our participants, or if you could just kind of direct us.
I'll copy and paste my list here. The most valuable one, I think, because it's so in depth, is the SBA Office of Entrepreneurship Education. Their website, it has just a trove of marketing research tools, and Status does great too. Those two are really awesome.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. And then for anybody who didn't see, Elise did just put those resources in the chat. So make sure you copy and paste and grab those. And then another question was going back to the social media and kind of with I loved your 2-for-1, share others and share yours. A lot of our members, we definitely have people with brick and mortar or retail type. But then we also have a lot of people, myself, I'm a realtor and a mortgage loan originator. And then we have consultants and, fitness gals, right? We have a stylist. We kind of run the gamut of people who are in that consulting and coaching world. And a lot of them are gathering their clients from their personal. So can you give some tips about personal Facebook, gathering clients and how to not be so salesy, but not just cute babies?
Yeah, it is. That's as I said, it's such a long game, and I think we can tend to, it's brick by brick. I think it takes so long to have your social media actually be like a sales funnel for you, because it is, everyone's on it for different reasons. Some people do want cute babies. Some people are really reactionary when they see a business post a special. I know personally I am, like, I engage with a lot of businesses on social media, I will get in my car and go drive to Rebel Reclaim if they're having a sale. Like I'll drop whatever I'm doing, and that's just the way that I am. So that's a great question, and I don't think I have like the best answer for that. Personally, I am kind of a voyeur on social media. I don't present myself out there personally a lot. But I don't really have a lot of advice on that. And I apologize. I wish I had a better answer,
That's
but
okay.
it's so nuanced. It's so nuanced. And I guess I would just try to drive people as much as possible to, if they're coming from your personal to your professional, and ask people to leave reviews and recommendations. And I think that's always okay. Like, I don't think people are going to do it unless you ask them to. So I think that's a kind of a good way to start building that up.
Okay. Fantastic. Okay, take it away, Karen. Can you introduce Patty now?
All right, I'm just going to let her tell her story, but as some of you may have heard at the beginning, others may not. Patty has lived in Grand Haven, I think all of her life, most of her life, and most of her career. She has been a psychologist. She's been a school psychologist. She and her husband had a practice. I have been friends with her and working with her for over 5 years. I help out at the chocolate shop on weekends. It's my weekend gig. And I wanted her to share her story of how she changed that from that career, how she prepared for retirement, which she's not retired at all. She's having the time of her life. But I want to introduce Patty Christopher. She and Paul own this store here and I'm sitting here in Grand Haven on Washington Street. And she's got a great story to tell. So I think that the moral and the theme here is it's not over till it's over. And if this doesn't work, try the next thing. Or if you're done with that, go to the next thing or keep building on what you have. So Patty, take it away. We're thrilled to have you here. Can you unmute?
I should.
There you
There.
go.
How's that? Okay, good.
All right.
Anyway, I started out as a special ed teacher in Mona Shores, actually, and did that for about 7 years, and then went back to school, started at Grand Valley, then went to state, got my master's in specialist, became a school psychologist, had a private practice in Muskegon, married a psychologist who also had a private practice in Grand Rapids, retired from Grand Rapids Public Schools in 2008, but in 2002, thought I'm a little obsessive compulsive. And so I need to know what I'm going to be doing next. And I didn't know what I was going to be doing when I retired. And in 2002, I knew in 2008, I'd be able to retire. So what am I going to do for the rest of my life? And I had always loved pastry, and I was always the person who volunteered to bring desserts to places and to people's homes. So I thought, well, I'll look into becoming a pastry chef. So I started calling around to all the culinary schools and learned that they all had 6-month to 2-year programs. And I thought, well, I can't do that. I'm working full-time as a psychologist for Grand Rapids Public Schools. So I thought, well, I'll do it in the summer, but a summer is not 6 months long. So I couldn't do that. So I ended up, like Maria did, you went through the program, Maria, at the French pastry school. And I started when they had their single kitchen in the basement of the school in 2002. And I learned that you could take guest chef classes. So I just took every chocolate class that they ever had. And I probably took 3 of them that first year. And I thought, okay, I think I can do this and I can start a business, but I thought I also don't want to be a pastry chef after all. I don't want to get up early in the morning when I'm retired. I think I want to sleep in. So I decided it morphed into, oh, I'll do chocolate. I love chocolate. So that's how I started my business. So in 2003, after making a lot of chocolate in my home kitchen and giving it away, I decided to go before the Zoning Board of Appeal in Grand Haven, which is where I live. And so that's the ZBA. And I also went through the Planning Commission because I thought, I'm going to have a commercial kitchen. I'm going to have it in my home. I don't want to have a brick and mortar store. Now you're seeing a picture of a brick and mortar store, but I didn't start out like that. I just thought, I want to do wholesale. I didn't even know it was called wholesale at the time. I just thought, I want to sell my chocolates in shops. So I got permission from the city to have a home business, home occupation in the city of Grand Haven. I got a hold of the health department because I was trying to figure out, okay, how do I get a licensed kitchen? The health department told me, no, those are for restaurants. You need Department of Agriculture. So then I got a hold of the Department of Agriculture. They came to my lower level, and this is like part of my chocolate kitchen is right here. It's about 12 by 15 feet square. That's kind of it in a 360-degree space. Oh, and I have a really nice space. I can look out in my garden, so I don't feel like I'm in a dungeon or anything like that. But it just used to be the furnace room. So we learned how to build it out, and my husband did that. And it's a licensed kitchen. So it's been licensed since 2003. I started out with 7 recipes that I perfected, found my packaging, and ended up bringing it to Art of the Table in Grand Rapids, asking them if they would want to start carrying my chocolates, brought a knife, did some sampling, and Amy started carrying them, who owns Art of the Table. And the idea was just, let's be a artisan chocolatier who does unique products, and I try to do things that other people don't do. So from there, it morphed into other shops around the state. And then, oh, this is our 6th year in business. So 6 years ago, we decided to do a brick and mortar store, and of course in Grand Haven. And it's been wildly successful. I also, we didn't have some of the obstacles that some people have. You know, where do you get the funding to start a business? My husband and I both had retirements from the schools. And so actually we started using that as the brick and mortar part. And I also had a wholesale business at the time to the different shops. So I was able to pull from that too. So we never took a loan or a mortgage or anything. We bought equipment as we could pay for it. I just did hand dipping for the first 5 years, until I started getting this carpal tunnel kind of syndrome thingy that I thought might be problematic. So then we bought the I Love Lucy machine. It's our in Rover, and now we have a couple of them. And, you know, the little conveyor belt with a waterfall, and I don't have to hand dip anymore. I really didn't want employees in the beginning because I didn't want to have to pay employees. And of course, now you can't run a store without employees. So of course I have employees, and Karen's been there from the get-go, which is great. And she's my girl Friday. She does everything. But we have 3 full-time employees right now and a few part-time employees. We do a lot of online. When the pandemic hit and we were closed for 2 months, we just did a lot of online orders. We have a website. We were trademarked. We went through a trademark attorney to get our Patricia's Chocolate name trademark. We have another trademark on a Michigan bar that we do. So it's kind of unique to what we do. What else can I tell you about?
I have a couple questions to jump in. So, being your kindred spirit and having, you know, gone through the ag department process and everything, I think if we have any budding chefs and certainly pastry chefs or people who doing jams or anything like that, can you speak at all to some of the cottage laws that we have in Michigan? Because I know that's a pretty okay place for people to start, especially if they're doing weddings and special events and not packaging.
Yep. You can always start with the cottage food law, which means you can work out of your home kitchen. You'll have to go online to figure that out. You can only make a certain amount of money. If you're going to like a craft show or oh, let's say farmer's market or something, you're going to sell your product there. You physically have to be the one that hands it to the person who's making the purchase. You can't have your family working with you where they're handing it to someone. You physically have to do that. And you are absolutely not allowed to sell to a store where
Right.
someone can walk in and buy it. And you also have special labeling where you have to identify where the product was made, that it was made in a home kitchen. I wasn't, I never, the cottage food law, I don't even think it existed back then. So I just went with a commercial kitchen. So I never
Yeah.
had to deal with any of those things. So I
Yeah.
can sell to other stores. So that was never a problem because I'm already in a commercial kitchen and now I have a second commercial kitchen in our shop. And once you have a commercial kitchen, you need to, you get a new certificate every year, so you're paying your fee every year. For a while, I had a chef work out of my, a pastry chef work out of my kitchen, commercial kitchen for about a year. She had to pull her own license with the Department of Agriculture, and that had to be posted on our wall with my license. And then she had to renew that every year as well. But she had to pull her own license just to work out of my commercial kitchen.
That's awesome. And then that also provided you with a little bit of stream of income and return on your investment in the commercial
Yeah.
kitchen to renting the
Mhm.
space. Yeah,
Yes.
that's awesome.
I would, if you're going to make it into, if you really think you can be wildly successful and, you know, have a product that maybe no one else has that's unique to you, I would definitely recommend finding a commercial kitchen. And we have incubator kitchens around too. They're in Grand Rapids, they're in Muskegon, they're around the area, and you're paying a slight amount, maybe $15 an hour, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. You can rent the space, the equipment. It's a great place to go and connect with other people who are of like minds, and you can promote each other. I find that I do that. I still take classes every year, chocolate classes. I take them at French Pastry School, Barry Callebaut Chocolate Academy in Chicago, classes in Las Vegas. I go around and I take classes, and I have a community of chocolatiers around the country and in other parts of the world as well who take these classes where I've made connections, and we all talk to each other. We're not stepping on each other's toes because we're not in the same market. We all have unique products and we all have our own focuses within the artisan chocolate world too. So we're all doing different things, but we all help each other, and it's a great community. You can bounce ideas off of each other. So staying connected to other people that do what you do is just, it expands your world.
Well, and Maria, you might have some specific questions, but I just wanted to comment on what I'm sure a lot of you do as well. But Patty has kind of a steady stream of wonderful chefs coming out of the SIM, out of Muskegon, has found some incredible full-time chefs. There's one from the Sekia School as well. But Patty takes time to share her knowledge and her chocolate at the library and maybe do a tasting there, and sometimes goes to the schools and goes out into the community. So that engagement piece of people kind of learning about the chocolate and tasting and experiencing the chocolate. She's had people come in for private tours to see how it's made. So I think it really rolls what Elise talked about, sharing the story, sharing the experience through chocolate, and then engaging the community too. So you do a good job of that, Patty.
Thank you. Well, and that's something else we do in the store. Because we've all grown up with a different type of chocolate, the American chocolate. We don't know about the European style chocolate, and the Europeans do not really care for our chocolate. It doesn't have the same flavor profile and doesn't have all the cocoa butter in it. So our job at our shop also is to educate people as to why these chocolates cost more and why the ingredients are different. I go to the farmer's market. I grow things. I just try to source as sustainably as I can. If someone comes in and they have a wheat allergy or they're gluten intolerant or they're celiac, every employee who works for me can take them around the shop and show them exactly what they can eat, what's safe. So we do that too. We're all about educating people. And when Elise, you were talking about a story, there is a story with absolutely every product that we have. And I can spend hours talking about the story about everything. But people like that. And then they'll come back with their friends and their family who are visiting, and they want us to share those stories with their friends and family too. So it's our store has become an experience for people where they bring their friends and family too. So it's been a nice asset to the community, and we just all have fun, and we're all passionate about what we do. We just like working with the public.
Yeah, I think that that story and providing that experience to customers is a really great takeaway for everyone here. And certainly very powerful. I mean, obviously it's worked for you, right? You've been very successful. And then just one other question. So you touched briefly on trademarking and licensing your product. So I know you said you consulted a trademark attorney. I know that's always a standard advice, but can you talk a little bit about what led you to go down that path, or maybe how difficult it was, or just share with anybody about the trademark?
Sure. So when I first started, I started visiting other chocolatiers. Norman Love is in Fort Myers, Florida. I don't know if you've heard of Norman Love, but we went and visited him, and he spent a couple of hours giving us a tour of his place, my husband and I, when we were on vacation there one time. And he said, I said, we were still toying around with names. And he said, one of the things that he had learned is he was called Love's Confections when he first started. And what he didn't check is to see if anyone else was using that name. He got a cease and desist letter from an attorney. And he said, after 2 years of using this name, marketing on his packaging, his bags, his logo, I mean, everything, he realized that he couldn't use Love's Confection or Love's Chocolate anymore. So that's when he went with Norman Love, which is his own name. But he said, that was 2 years of a big expense, a big headache, that if I had just gone with a trademark attorney in the first place, they do a check to make sure that the name you want to use isn't used by anyone else. And then you're free and clear. And they also file a trademark claim with that. And then after so many months that it's been published, people can say, oh yeah, that's my name or whatever. It's free and clear. And then legally it's your name. I believe every 5 years, is it 5 years? You need to re-register that. 5 years, 10 years, I can't remember. It just happened for us again. So I think
You're talking specifically about a trademarked name, not the name of your LLC, right?
Right, like Patricia's Chocolate, like the name of our business.
And then your entity might be like Patricia's Chocolate LLC or Pat's Chocolate LLC or whatever. So, but the trademark is like when we see the little TM or the little copyright next to that, and that has to be taken care of outside of just your LLC name, correct?
Exactly. Yes. Okay. Yes. Yeah. It's important to your business because it's your brand, it's who you are, it's your identity. And if you suddenly have to change the name of that because you didn't do your due diligence in the beginning, it's just a financial, you take a financial hit with that. So just, do it properly the first time. You'll be glad you did.
That's great advice.
It cost about $1,000, I think, to go through the attorney to do that. I don't know if it's still that, but that's what it was when we did it.
Okay, and Michelle has a question too. She wants to jump in.
When you set up an LLC, that's your business. So are you saying you also need to trademark your name, not just put the LLC on there? Because if your name is a business, I don't understand. I thought the trademarks were for not just your name per se, but for, like, I've done trademarks for products, but you're saying that guy needed a trademark for his name?
We did it for a, also for a mold that we do. We have a special mold and a special name for that.
But the name of the business you're saying needs a trademark, or the LLC isn't good enough?
No, we had our LLC is trademarked, actually.
I think it depends on your situation and your business, because you can register with the state of Michigan and be protected in Michigan as your LLC. You have to just renew that every year. It probably depends on to what extent you need to do that. And again, I think before you go and hire an attorney, there are places you can go to check. We have Grow volunteers that are attorneys. There are places you can kind of have that conversation to see. I think what Patty's saying is it's worth it to check into it, do the research. And if it's going to protect your name or your logo or whatever you do, the Michigan Bar is something she is talking about. Then you go ahead and spend the money. But there are ways to find out and do the research and the legwork before that. Most people, probably 85 to 90% in Michigan, do an LLC, and you register with the state of Michigan. As a corporation, you're then covered in all 83 counties of Michigan, but not nationally. So,
And ours is, we did ours nationally, so that's probably the difference.
right.
Oh, yeah. Another quick question, Karen, if you wanted to get with someone to ask these questions, how do we connect with Grow to be able to find out some of these things you've been talking about today?
Definitely just visit our website, which is growbusiness.org. We have an intake system now that will get you immediately to somebody that can direct you to the right resources, to one of our business development officers. We can sit down and answer all your questions. We're doing a lot of only virtual appointments right now. We're starting to step into some of the face-to-face, but they can certainly go to our website and check in and ask to meet with one of the business development officers. And when we have full capacity, we have other people we can have you work with. We have some amazing organizations that have other language experts as well that can help, speak the Spanish language and other languages too when we can't do that. But we kind of sit down and triage and listen to where you're trying to go, what you're trying to do, what kind of questions you have, and then we help you as far as we can and get you those additional resources that you need. Again, we're low and no cost, pretty much a whole ecosystem of people waiting to just guide you through your process.
I have another question regarding Grow, being a nonprofit, being a low and no cost ecosystem. So I think most of us are here to be able to learn from Grow, but if we ever become these huge, big, important deals and we want to give back, how do you give back and contribute to Grow to keep the organization going?
Well, thank you for bringing that up. I didn't even ask her to say that. My last my last slide does cover it. Just basically, we have a lot of people like yourselves who have been there and done that and have done an amazing job with your business or your career. Those Grow volunteers, that's one incredible way to give back to Grow, is to be available to our entrepreneurs so that you're giving them that knowledge and that hand up and that information that they need to go on their journey. We also, obviously, as a 501c3, will accept donations to further our mission in the community. We cover 9 counties technically when we're an open community. With virtual, that of course that footprint expands, and we certainly are covering a lot more territory now, and we're crossing some paths with our Detroit partners that are ecosystem people there. So we're doing a lot of that. But I mean, if you give of your time, your talents, your treasure, I think those 3 certainly are always beneficial to us. We're primarily funded by the SBA. We borrow money from them to re-lend out into the community, but we generously get donations from banks and corporations and incredible generous donors. We have foundations in our communities that believe in what we're doing, that want to make those services available to people. So that's how we function on a regular basis. And we rely heavily on those partners.
That's awesome. Thank you. And she's right. She didn't tee it up. I just was genuinely curious. So, and these are some of your partners here. Did you go back to that one on purpose?
Well, I added it back in. We've got just a few more slides here, and I don't know how we're doing on time, but I just wanted to kind of wrap it up with, you know, I know you'll get copies of this and it's being recorded, but these community organizations are truly there to assist you on your journey wherever you're at. If you just have an idea or you've been in business for 30 years, but now you're trying to do the next thing, or you do need funding, or you just need an expert, or you need some resources, you want to start getting involved in the downtown market and all that they're doing, or go into one of those licensed kitchens, we can direct you to those ecosystem partners. I just wanted to touch on the fact that if you are looking for funding, the banks are still going to be a great place to start. You have a relationship with them personally, maybe even with your business. Start there and see what they're able to provide. Our banks are the biggest referral source for us, because when they can't work with you because it's either too risky, too early, if you're just starting up, you don't have that business history, they will get a hold of us and say, hey, we've got a great business here that we'd like you to talk to. And so we get a ton of referrals from our banking partners and from our ecosystem partners, but you will need a lot of that same information. You're going to want to complete a loan application, your ID, that business plan. Again, doesn't have to be 40 pages, just so I understand, or the reader understands who you are, what you're doing, those cash flow projections, the tax returns. If you're in business, how have you done? Now, we had a lot of people during COVID and all this last year say, I lost money, or I'm down 70%, or, all of that. We can look past that as an alternative lender. We can also look past credit scores that aren't pristine. We can look at challenges. As long as you've made steps to improve that and you're moving in the right direction, we can certainly work, and so can our other alternative lending partners, to get you to the point where you are fundable. And if there's some issues, we can get you to a Green Path Financial Wellness, get your credit cleaned up, be working on that, and then we can still potentially work with you. So as I said, we definitely start with a bank. They're going to give you probably a better product, a better rate, a line of credit, a business credit card, something that's exactly what you need. When they say just not yet, or they can't, then you'll want to talk to GROW, Michigan Women Forward, Northern Initiatives, Opportunity Resource Fund, Rende Progress Capital. Many of them have missions of reaching those entrepreneurs, those business owners in the rural areas, those persons of color, lower income, veterans, people that just don't have the same access, don't have the same opportunity. Our mission is to reach into those neighborhoods, into those places, to make sure folks know that they've got funding opportunities. Through COVID, we just feel very privileged and honored to have been able to help a lot of people when just the floor fell out for all of us. Last March, we immediately got on the phone, called all of our clients that we had loans with, and asked how we could help. Then we reached out into the community and did recovery loans and COVID relief loans. And we were doing it $10,000 at a time, just to give them working capital to pay those rents, to pay the utilities, to pay their vendors. In that crazy time and virtually working from home, we were able to help deploy nearly $600,000. And so I think the biggest value to us as a staff, and we talk to other lenders too, is the joy and honor of calling the business owner to check in on them. How are you doing? How are you holding up? How can we help? They appreciated that probably as much or more than the funding. And it was such an honor to hear their stories and how we could potentially step in and maybe just help out a little bit. We've since been doing additional lending, and we have other people stepping in to help us deploy more funds into the community. So we just feel that in a year that was so unique for everybody, we were able to still get out there and help folks. We were wiring money right into their account. We were doing, crazy stuff.
That's amazing. It's just so amazing.
I was signing, I had met on the corner at a Walgreens and had a client, we were signing loan docs on the hood of the car because we needed to, you know, meet in the
Yeah.
middle, stay safe, be outside. So whatever it takes. And again, we're just honored to be able to help out. So some of those next steps, you can visit our website, find out all the resources that are there, sign up for our newsletter. Elise has done a phenomenal job of gathering all the grant programs, the loan programs, the training, the webinars, the great stories, and puts it into a regular newsletter. So you can get on that newsletter, you can opt in or opt out anytime. You can look for those webinars. We basically encourage you to start that business plan, start thinking about those numbers, and then get on our calendars to start working with us. And we have Calendly links, so you can just type it in and schedule a time that works for you. That's on our calendar. And as you asked, and you didn't know, but just volunteer if you've got something to offer a new entrepreneur. Donate to our cause, attend our events, and follow us on all of these wonderful social media platforms. So any questions about Grow or marketing or Patty's story? We just are real happy to be with you here tonight, and we thank you for taking time out to hear a little bit about running, starting, growing a business. So
It's amazing. And yes, that it's open. So if anyone has any questions, we can just feel free to jump on here.
So, and Maria and her team, the team is for Women Who will be monitoring this, but we decided I wanted to buy a couple gift cards from Patricia's Chocolate. They are going to draw a couple of names. So for all of you that attended tonight, they are going to let you know if you've been the recipient of one of those gift cards. It's for $25 for Patricia's Chocolate. And if you are able to schedule it, we can probably have you come in and do just a quick small tasting and just enjoy some of the amazing chocolates from Patricia's. But Patty, I thank you too for letting me be here and for participating tonight. And thank you, Elise.
Yes, Karen, you have my back on that. We did pick the names. We did. I had it right here. So, yeah, so Nora Bilesma and Jane Hersey, we will be definitely reaching out to you and getting you in contact with Karen and Patty. Both of you have won the $25 gift cards, and that was super surprising and really gracious of both of you. And thank you, Patty. And we're super excited about that. So yeah, and thank you, Karen, for having my back because I did miss that.
That's all right. We're here. Like I said, you are not alone in this journey. You can probably teach half of, a webinar yourself. So again, if not needing the assistance, certainly referrals are always appreciated to, as you're talking to people in those coffee shops or out in the community, if they need assistance, direct them to us. But if you need assistance, just visit the website and get on our calendar. So we thank you for being here tonight.
And with that, we'll open it up to questions. So feel free to unmute and ask. So
Karen, I just want to throw out, thank you, all three of you for doing this. I do have to say, I have done a seminar for Grow, and I'm doing another one this fall. And you guys are amazing to work with, whether you're in helping people or actually, it was so organized when I did the seminar. It was so easy. And it's just, you guys are really great to work with. So just thank you.
Well, thank you for your involvement, because every time we can bring other talents and information in for the community, especially in now this virtual world. I think you did it pre-virtual though, did you do it virtual last fall?
Oh, I did it virtual.
You were virtual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it was fine. I mean, you guys are so organized that it's really easy. So you guys are a great organization. We're happy to have had you here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
all right, does anybody have any questions? Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
So I went to the contact page and there's, a part where you fill out your name and and email and things like that. Is that the best way to sign up to get an appointment?
It really is, because
Okay.
we have someone that's kind of fielding those and making sure, depending on if you're in Grand Rapids or on the Lakeshore, what are your needs? How can we best help you? So they're trying to get you the resources more quickly that way. So it's exactly the best way. Do the connect with us on our website. You'll be contacted. There's an email there, and we can make sure you get those resources quickly.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, don't be shy. Don't be shy. So I have a question. I'll just throw this out here. How do you start writing forecasted sales for a business that's not up and running yet? Where do you start in that process?
I think that's going to be one of those market research pieces that we can help you with. We can find industry trends. We can look at that type of business and in similar demographics, and kind of start to help do a realistic forecast with you. Again, we can partner you with some of our bankers and financial folks to kind of think out loud with you on that. The small business development centers do a great job of that. I always say take a stab at it yourself first, and those templates are pain-free. Pretty much you usually know what your rent is going to be and kind of what your utilities might be. You can make some guesstimates and then work it backwards. And then you kind of say, well, how much chocolate do I have to sell to cover all that? And if and we kind of say do a best and worst case scenario and then most likely. But there are industry trends and a lot of great information where you could kind of borrow what's out there and then start to tweak it and pick it apart to make it your own based on your own expenses and your own demographics. So I don't pretend to know all of that, but there are great sources for that.
Well, yeah, I think basing what you need to pay your bills and then hitting that target is definitely at least some place to start,
Right.
rather than staring at a blank spreadsheet and wondering, I don't know how much.
Hey,
Yeah.
Maria, I'll throw out one other thought on that.
Mhm.
One of the best ways to do it is, taking your spends, what do you need to make, but you're dividing by day and by week to understand what's really realistic. Even by the hour, take your day and divide by hour. What that does is allows you to build a roadmap to say, do I really think that I can make these numbers? And
Mhm.
that sometimes if your numbers are so big by day, how many customers do you need to sell by day to actually get there? It starts really putting into reality if it's can happen or not. And then you realize, well, I can't do that much at the beginning because it's a glide path. And so you never do as much at the beginning as you do 3 years in, because more people know about it. And then you take your expenses down or you do other things to figure out how to make it work. So that's one thing I've always done is divide by day, week, hour, whatever it takes to get a realistic number and how many clients it's going to take to get there. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Well, and
That's fantastic, Michelle.
that's huge, because I don't think a lot of people take the time to do that, and that knowledge is power, as they say, right? And I think that's incredible. And to know that your break even, or what you're describing as, you might be losing money initially or not making as much, but to know what point will you get there and how much does it take to get to that point. Something about our loans and the alternative loans, I think the banks are certainly equally as able to do this, but there's no prepayment penalty. So let's say we get you started and you're going for a year or two and things are going great and your revenues are just doing so well, you can pay it down early. There's no prepayment penalty. We've helped you get through that bumpy road point, but also then you're bankable because you have that business banking history now. And so you can go back to that bank stronger with some history. They can even take us out and give you the loan that you need or a line of credit and pay us off. So very good to know that up front you might need that assistance. But then as things improve, you can pay it off or keep it or get that line of credit to just tap into when you need it and then pay it down when things are good. Because we all have seasonality to our businesses. we have things happen like we've had in the last year. And so just good things to know. The better you know your business, because you know it better than anyone else, the more you can pivot quickly to know, I got to get 10 more people in here before I turn off the lights, right? That kind of
And I just wanted to add as a comment, you know, I'm in the marketing side of Grow, so I get to talk about all of our successes. And, you know, Karen's really the boots on the ground as a business development officer, and our BDO team, they do amazing things. But, you know, if you're thinking about starting your business, or if you're scared, or if you're like, oh, I can't do this, like, you know, I don't have the experience, please call us. Like, we have clients who are, you know, one of my favorite stories is, Bobby's Fusion Grill, this guy who was working in kitchens in his 40s and decided that he had had enough and wanted to work for himself. Now he has a restaurant and a food truck, and he didn't know anything when he came to us. He just knew that he wanted to work for himself. And we have so many people like that who just have an idea, or they just have a desire to have their life be a little different. And so if that's where you're at, and if you're scared and hesitant, just please call us. Like, we can help you. Like, we can help you make it. If you want to make it happen, we can help you make it happen. Karen can help you make it happen, not me, but
Well, it sounds like
I'll just tell your success story.
Yeah, but the marketing helps make it happen too.
Yeah,
Nothing happens without marketing.
that's right. Thanks, Michelle.
got a story, that's for sure.
Does anyone else want to jump in before we wrap things up? Any last chance for your question until you schedule your appointment with Grow? But last chance for your question here. Anybody? Okay, I guess not. Well, I want to say thank you on behalf of the entire Women Who community to Karen and Patty and Elise. This was a very, very informative night. And I think everybody here is really glad that this one was recorded, so we can go back and watch it again, because the three of you are tremendous resources, and we really appreciate your time. And I think we all are better for having participated. So with that, I think we're signing off, and thank you.
Thank you so much. Best wishes to all of you, and we look forward to talking with you. Have a great night.
Thank you. Yeah.